This is Raja Mujtaba with this episode Raja Mujtaba Show. In today's topic, we are going to discuss primarily the American withdrawal from Afghanistan and its impact on the region, how the things are developing, not only in Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, but also in elsewhere in the vicinity of this neighborhood. So this is something which has to be understood, and we must understand the dynamics or the things that are taking place in the region. Ever since America announced its departure, the region is seeing some unusual activities. The date of departure also gave a signal to the Taliban, who stepped up their activities to give the maximum blows to the Americans before they left and to bleed them as much as they could. So if you go back and look at the events since then, Americans have suffered much more casualties both in men and material. But now that is past, and moving ahead, ultimately America had to decide and agree to hold direct talks with Taliban. They tried to sideline Pakistan in doing so, but all that it failed. They could not make much headway because unless the people involved who have their stakes are part of the thing, things will never move forward. After agreeing to the holding of talks, the Americans allowed the Taliban to open up their representative office in Qatar, Doha, where when they opened their office, they hoisted the same white flag which they had before the American invasion of Afghanistan. And the building that was rented out to them, they put up a plaque outside saying Islamic State of Afghanistan. So this was something which may have been in the knowledge of the Americans, that this is how the Taliban are going to base themselves there, but it was a blow for Hamid Karzai, who felt isolated. And not only isolated, he also thought that if the Americans talks, the Taliban talks succeed, then there's every possibility that the Taliban may form the government in future, and which is quite likely that they're going to form the government. Then the Hamid Karzai days are numbered. So this he could not digest, and he wanted for one reason or the other that the talks should fail or should be delayed. So he has succeeded to some account. But the process, America cannot hold off for a long time. They have to decide before they leave. If they don't, then America would be in a big mess. And so it is now understood, everybody knows it and accepts it, that America is a defeated power in Afghanistan. So America will have to talk from the position of a vanquished and not from the position of the victor. Unless they accept this change, unless they accept it in their mind that they have lost the war and they have got to talk to Taliban, in that situation, things will not succeed, because it is always the victor who dictates his terms and not the vanquished. You cannot put the things in the reverse order. But America is not prepared to accept that, and America still thinks and behaves and feels that they are the victors, and which is making things quite difficult for them. And if they do not, then Taliban have the capacity to fight on, and they can do so for 50 years or more with all their ragtags, and America will bleed, and nothing will hurt the Taliban in that sense, because they have for the past many decades, they have been living under the influence of war and bullets and bombs. Their generations have come up in that sort of an atmosphere. For them, war is quite a normal thing now. But for Americans and for the other support allies of America, this is something entirely different. And to do so, why America, before coming to Afghanistan, there was a general thing that decided by the West, that is America, Israel, and their other supporters, that they have got to sideline the Muslim influence, they have got to weaken the Muslim powers, because in the way of the capitalism, in the way of their doctrine, in the way of their Zionist agendas, it is only the Muslim power, it is only Islam which is a stumble in their way. And to further authenticate that, Commander William Guy Carr of Canada, who wrote a book somewhere in 1947-48 by the name of Pawns in the Game, had declared it then that after the two revolutions and the two world wars, the third world war is going to be against Islam, for which the grouping is taking place. So today, it is very, very evident that the entire Western machinery is working against the Muslims, against Islam, and this has turned even those Muslims against America who were once supporters of America. The moderates have also turned against America, and this is what the people must understand. To start this, they had first picked up on Indonesia, where they ringed around Abu Bakr Bashir, who has been described as the ideological godfather of Jamia Islamiyah, although no evidence could be made to implicate Bashir in terrorist attacks undertaken by the clandestine group. He has claimed that Jamia Islamiyah does not exist and that the CIA and Israel were behind terror attacks in Indonesia, including the 2002 Bali bombings, which cost heavy in lives. Bashir says that 9/11 attacks were a false flag by America and Israel, only created to attack Muslims in Afghanistan and Iraq. And the Indonesian Islamic cleric is portrayed strongly in Western media as an extremist who inspires deadly action. However, Bashir claims that the true terrorists are America and Israel. Bashir was critical about the Australian tourists in Bali, who, according to him, were flouting the Islamic norms and values. Well, let's take a short break before we go further. So please be with us. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly.
Hey Sam, why are you playing with your cell phone and ignoring the beauty of the beach?
I was sending a birthday gift to my mom in Pakistan from Mart47.com.
Mart47.com? What is that?
It's an online gift service for sending gift items to your loved ones in Pakistan. Look, I placed an order today and it'll reach my mom exactly on her birthday.
Can you please forward me the link, as it's my sister's engagement over the weekend and I won't be able to attend, so at least my gift will make her happy. Thank you so much again, Sam, for introducing me with such a wonderful gift portal. Mart47.com, you deserve the best.
Welcome back. This is Raja Mujtaba Show. Now, going further, we all know, the world knows, that 9/11 was a staged managed event to target the Muslims as terrorists. The actual terrorism being conducted by the Zionist Israel against the Palestinians is not visible to anyone. They have killed the Palestinians in thousands. They have killed the Palestinian mothers, they have killed the Palestinian children, they have not even spared the pregnant women. They have attacked the unarmed Palestinians day in and day out, and there is nothing which comes to their rescue. So the terrorism has to be understood. Who are terrorists and who are being terrorized? by provoking and invoking hatred against a community or working against them and then inciting them to retaliate and then declare them terrorists is not a fair thing which the world must understand. Coming back to 2014 drawdown from Afghanistan, America has been a loser on all accounts. It has lost militarily, it has lost economically, it has lost politically, it has lost diplomatically. And today America has no face to show but still wants a face saver, which the people are prepared to give them provided they think and act in an appropriate manner. Talking about the American financial losses, James Hamilton, a University of California, San Diego professor of economics, says the federal government has been lowballing the public for years on how much debt it actually has, adding that the real amount is $70 trillion and not 16.9 trillion. This figure of trillions does not come on my calculator, so I leave it to the American public to do the calculation for themselves as to how much each American is under debt, even the newborn babies, who have yet to see the days ahead. So, why this is happening? Because America is very keen to spend on war machines and killing people, fighting wars, waging wars. Today, the United States spends 58% of the world's total war spending or the military spending around the world. That is of just the 10 top countries, which have spent about 1.9 trillion, and the 58% of that has been spent by US alone. And the US outspends China. With its unparalleled global reach, the US outspends China, the next biggest military power, by nearly 6-1. Now, if the listeners compare China's 3.4 trillion reserves against America's 70 trillion deficits, then China is spending far less on defense, and that would certainly change the balance in favor of China, which will become a leading economic power, which it has already attained to certain and to quite an extent. And the leads which they're going to get is going to be very quantum leaps in their economy. The single factor that can be held responsible for this economic black hole in the US is the US mad adventurism in waging wars around the world for supporting the Zionists and capitalists of the world, who form the top richest men around the world. Today, US is fighting in over 72 countries and supporting maybe more than 800 bases around the world. Now, this activity is colossal by any means. It is no secret as to how the US, Israel and other Zionist powers orchestrate to install puppet regimes in the Muslim world. The military-industrial complex of the Western world are behind this unrest. They make money by the trillions while the people die in millions. And this orchestration can only happen if they keep the world destabilized. So, going further, I would say that today America is doing exactly the same from which Eisenhower had warned them not to do. He said, in the Council of Government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for this disastrous rise of misplaced power to exist and will persist, quote unquote. This was, gentlemen, in 1961, this was his farewell address to the nation, precisely 3 days before relinquishing power. I, a man of vision and foresight, the man who gave freeways to America, which have become the arteries of the American economy, his advice was not taken and put aside as meaningless and useless. So today America is suffering because of that. Today, American military-industrial complex has become much more powerful. They find ways and means to boost their sales, and that can only happen when the world is kept burning in wars. Why the American people could not pressurize the government to stop its killing spree, only the American people can answer. But I'm sure they must have tried, but they have not succeeded. To go any further, let's take a short break and come back to you again. So please stay tuned and be with us.
Hey Sam, why are you playing with your cell phone and ignoring the beauty of the beach?
I was sending a birthday gift to my mom in Pakistan from Mart47.com.
Mart47.com? What is that?
It's an online gift service for sending gift items to your loved ones in Pakistan. Look, I placed an order today and it'll reach my mom exactly on her birthday.
Can you please forward me the link, as it's my sister's engagement over the weekend and I won't be able to attend, so at least my gift will make her happy. Thank you so much again, Sam, for introducing me with such a wonderful gift portal. Mart47.com, you deserve the best.
Welcome back. Now coming back to the talks that got stalled due to Karzai's hue and cry, Karzai would never want the US to leave, neither would India, because under the US cover, both are free to play their malicious games in the region. Before departing, the US wants India firmly in command of the situation in Afghanistan, because they find none other to replace them or who is prepared to take their seat and suffer the sufferings that the Americans have been suffering. And India becomes an easy proxy or easy substitute for that. But putting India in a hostile situation in Afghanistan, either the US is naive or preparing India for her doomsday. When India takes over the American seat and steps into the American shoes, the things are going to flare up in Afghanistan. The warlords will come up again. They'll start the fight. India will become helpless, will not be able to control. India's main interest would be from the east-western border to destabilize Pakistan, for which Pakistan would also react in a becoming manner, and India would be exposed on many fronts. Not only it is already fighting, there are already insurgencies going on in 40% of India by various groups who desire independence from India. And the world has no knowledge about that because the media does not focus on that. So this is something which is going to bleed India very heavily. A beating that America could not stand with all its resources, India will find it hard to stand even fraction of the time that America stayed in Afghanistan. And things are changing, things are moving forward. During this process, Pakistan also went through a process of elections. The new government has come in. Nawaz Sharif has been installed as the Prime Minister, who right from the very outset extended a hand of friendship to India, and he was keen to visit India even without invitation, but the Indians refused to receive him. So that was also a blow to Nawaz Sharif, and it also exposed India as to how much India wants friendship with Pakistan. But things don't stand still. Nawaz Sharif was to visit China. It was a visit that was being overly awaited, and after visiting China for 4 to 5 days, the visit was declared as success beyond imagination. The main theme of the visit was to develop an economic corridor between Kashgar and Gwadar, which would be linked by rail and the highways or the motorways to allow all-weather traffic around the year. That would bring economy, that would boost the Pakistan economy. It will also link the China's western provinces with the outside world with the shortest route. Now this was something which every Pakistani was awaiting, and Pakistan sees this as an opportunity for its turnaround, where Pakistan can become an economic hub. And if this port facilities are also extended to Afghanistan, Central Asia, that would also link up Russia, then naturally the potential of Gwadar goes up many times. And I'm sure that must be on the cards to link Pakistan with Afghanistan, Central Asia and Russia also. So in that sense, Pakistan becomes a real conduit, it becomes a power, it becomes the economic hub, and all its deficits and loans can be paid off, and Pakistan becomes a self-standing country on its own feet. But this development has certainly jittered both America and India. Why? That we fail to understand. America takes it as a threat to its own interest. This development is only meant for commercial activities, trade and commerce. It has no military bearing, so there should be no threat to the Americans in any case. India finds that the Chinese presence in the port of Gwadar would make India more vulnerable. Well, to make India vulnerable, there are also already bases around Sri Lanka and places like that. So India has nothing new or nothing to worry. But this port of Gwadar would give a tremendous economic boost to Pakistan, to China, to Africa, to the Middle East, and even Iran, Central Asian states, and Afghanistan. If all these states start to use this port, their time to come out in the hot, warm waters would be reduced, and they would be much more quicker and faster to take the trade to new heights. Well, this was something which is in the process, because working on its economics, by going from Gwadar to Kashgar, and by going from the port of Aden or from the Persian Gulf to the Chinese ports, the ships have to go about 8,000 kilometers, which then go over the land route, which is another some 1,000 kilometers, and come to Kashgar. That makes it economically very expensive to develop their western regions. So from here, the distance that they have to travel is about 2,000 kilometers, and that opens up their western provinces to new economic development, where the people can earn and live peacefully, and the things would move much faster. So America and of course India both were the main thinkers on this. They wanted to check this development, and to check this development, the terrorist activities took up pace in Pakistan. Every day, multiple attacks are taking place in Pakistan, in different cities, maybe in the same city, and people are being killed right, left and center, and it is something which is very much undesired and unwanted and not liked. But who are the powers behind it? When we really think of it, a few names that come to mind, that is CIA, Mossad, RA, MI6, and some of the Gulf country states. Why? Because they do not want to lose their dominating place, which they have lost in any case, and they will not be able to stand to it for much longer. On this issue, taking the lead, India also became an active participant when it wanted to threaten Pakistan, and in doing so, it killed 5 of its own soldiers in the Indian occupied Kashmir and put the blame on Pakistan. If Pakistan, when the things started to leak out, the things started to come out, the ground realities were entirely different, and it was established that Pakistan was not the attacker, not the killer of their soldiers, but Indians had done themselves, because the fencing that Indians have done on the occupied Kashmir line of control, nothing can move through them, and it was very much impossible for the Pakistani soldiers to go 5 kilometers deep inside and hit Indian soldiers. Anyway, so that is still an issue which India had to put up a shameless face. Now to cover that, India has started to escalate the border skirmishes beyond Kashmir. They are coming to the settled borders in Pakistan, and they have extended the violations right up to Sialkot. So this is something which the world must understand why this escalation is taking place. And as they say, a few days after this, there was an accident in an Indian naval base where a submarine got blown off at midnight and was sunk after multiple explosions. Now, accidents do not take place at midnight. Accidents take place when there is some activity going on. There are some people working on board, and there could be some sort of leakage or some spark or something that could cause an accident. But something to happen at midnight is something to be seen very seriously, whether it was an accident or an act of sabotage. Well, only India can identify that, and it is for India to disclose actually what happened. But by all probabilities, if the Indians had not put the blame of the killing of the 5 soldiers on Pakistan, this would have been a much better opportunity for India to put blame on Pakistan or ISI, etc. But that was not the case, and India had played its Pakistan card a little far too earlier, for which one can only feel sorry. So that is on that. But what needs to be understood is that the US is no longer into fighting wars directly. The US strategy has changed. Now they are fighting the wars through their proxies. They have hired mercenaries. They have hired people from around the world to fight for them. They launch them in different countries as the rebels, as they did in Libya, they are doing in Syria. They are also active in Egypt. They are also active elsewhere, and they want the world to be destabilized. They had large number in Afghanistan, through which they operated in Pakistan. The Blackwater and the Raymond Davis issue is very fresh in the minds of the people. So this is how America is fighting. So America, by fighting through these proxies, America has cut down on its own human casualties, but it is paying a very heavy price for that. So this is something which is a new development, a new strategy. They have moved from the manned fighter aircraft into drones era, and now to cut down on their human losses. And this is which is a new development, a new strategy which America has adopted. Ladies and gentlemen, be with me. Let's take a short break, and then I'll be back right with you in a few minutes.
Hey Sam, why are you playing with your cell phone and ignoring the beauty of the beach?
I was sending a birthday gift to my mom in Pakistan from Mart47.com.
Mart47.com? What is that?
It's an online gift service for sending gift items to your loved ones in Pakistan. Look, I placed an order today and it'll reach my mom exactly on her birthday.
Can you please forward me the link, as it's my sister's engagement over the weekend and I won't be able to attend, so at least my gift will make her happy. Thank you so much again, Sam, for introducing me with such a wonderful gift portal. Mart47.com, you deserve the best.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Going further, how the Americans have operated, the first thing was started was the Arab Spring. That swept through the Arab world, and one after the other, the regimes toppled, and then they brought in the new people, the new dummies, the new puppets, to replace the old ones who had lost their face. It is something which has happened, started from Tunisia, then went into Libya, now then to Egypt and things like that. Then it came to Bahrain, it came to other places. In some places Americans were there to stop it and to block them. But then Egyptian has seen something very difficult. The Americans, the Egyptians went through a process of election. They went through the process of elections, and in that, Morsi got elected with a popular mandate. And the people had to accept him, and there was a lot of celebration for Morsi's election, and they were really happy about it. Now, after some time, when the Americans, when the Zionists, they found that this is not going to work for them, so they stirred the army against the civil regime, and they had, through General Sisi, Morsi was removed and put under arrest. Since then, the Egyptian soil is under fire, they are burning, the people are fighting, hundreds of people have been killed by the army, and there is no respite to be seen. Morsi still stands with very popular support, army is losing the face, and they want army to step out and Morsi to be brought back. But it is for the people of Egypt to decide what they want and what they don't want. And this is something which is irking the world, and especially the Muslim world. This can have some serious repercussions this can also have some serious repercussions for the kingdoms and the sheikdoms of the Middle East, where the people are not very happy with their rulers. They want a change, and for which the sheikdoms and the kingdoms are not well prepared to loosen their grip on the power. For this, Pakistan also needs to draw lessons from this. Pakistan already stands pushed deep into this quagmire. We need to move fast and settle this strife before the Zionists find an excuse to launch something similar at a bigger scale. America had already launched its mercenaries, its paid agents into Pakistan. Raymond Davis was a key name. He still remains a key name, and everything which is falling since then is after that Raymond Davis was exposed, and now the terrorist activities that have taken place have become very, very crucial, and they are out to destroy, out to destabilize Pakistan, which Pakistanis are resisting, and hopefully they will be successful sooner than later. The Syrian war, America has fought for over 2 years. They launched huge number of proxies over there, and they have failed. They could not gain any headway. Syria has come out stronger. Bashar al-Assad stands stronger, who is ably supported both by Russia and China, and also Iran, of course. Hezbollah in Lebanon is also behind Bashar al-Assad. So these things are making things much more difficult and worse for the Americans and their allies. Turkey did try to support the war in Syria, being on the side of America, but I think Turkey has learned its lesson, and they will not support any further. They must not support any further, and they must remain within their own domain and area of interest within their own land. So the American analogy, the American theory, the American way of working to work for the regime change is something which makes one think and wonder who has given America this power to go about globally for a regime change. My question would be, how would the US react? How would the people of US react if today Russia or some other country tried to bring about a regime change there? If the US has the right to retaliate, then so do the other countries of the world. People fighting retaliation and liberation of their homeland cannot be declared as terrorists. They are liberators, they are freedom fighters, and they have the right to fight. Why all this? Zionists, because the Zionists want a new world order to take all the world resources under their direct control, moving through the United Nations and the puppet regimes in the respective countries. They will not resist even if they have to balkanize the countries, which is their declared and open agenda. People are aware of this and people are reacting to this and people know what the game is going on and they cannot be taken for a ride and they would certainly do whatever they have to do to defend their honor, to defend their countries and things like that. It is the Zionist-sponsored New World Order that is the real mischief behind this entire global unrest. New World Order is a slogan to enslave the free world and then rule them through the UN. This was the basic purpose for creating the United Nations, a Zionist powerhouse. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the game of 1% against the 99% of the world. The powerhouse should be 99% and not 1%. Occupy Wall Street that started in America are still active. Still people are working on that. They do not want to resist. They do not want to rest till they have finally won the war against 1%. Now, with this, ladies and gentlemen, I come to my conclusion. I leave it to you to form your own opinions, what is to be done, how is to be done. But one thing is sure, we, the 99%, have to find ways and means to live in peace and harmony with each other. Thank you very much. Be happy wherever you are, be in peace, and look after yourselves, and let's work for global peace all together. See you again. Till then, bye-bye.